Bringing you the news and information you need from the people making a difference. This is Comcast Newsmakers.
They have answered the call. Now, how important is it for us to help them? Hello, everyone. I'm Joe Pasikia, and this is Comcast Newsmakers. New Jersey Assemblyman Jack Connors is with us, serves the 7th Legislative District, but he's also the chair of Military and Veterans Affairs in the State Assembly. Let's talk about all those serving our nation right now overseas. Good to see you.
Great to be back, Joe.
And at this moment, too, those 3,000 National Guardsmen and women on their way after training to Iraq. How important is it that they are in your hearts and in your work?
It's incredibly important. And as you know, I recently visited with the troops with Governor Corzine and some others. We flew into Fort Bliss, Texas, went from there into New Mexico into the desert, where the training has been going on. And of course, the use of the desert is perfect because that's the conditions that they're going to be dealing with when they get into Iraq. And it was intense, but I can assure you, these men and women are ready.
They are ready, and they're answering the call. What about their voice, especially when it comes to an election? How do we make sure that they have every ability to vote?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because recently the governor signed legislation that I'm one of the sponsors of that will give it'll make it easier for them to file an absentee ballot. The way the law was, there was a couple things. You could only vote in federal elections. This law now allows them to vote in all elections, even though they're overseas, which really is very important. The other thing is, the only way they could vote previously was to vote by fax machine. Now, can you imagine trying to find a fax machine in Afghanistan or finding a fax machine in Iraq? So we've changed that, and we changed the wording to say that you can vote by electronic means.
Which, now, by the way, there's internet access in great ways with the U.S. military, right?
Yes, they do. I guess it's equivalent of like an internet cafe that we set up. So
how do we make sure that's secure? Because we want to make sure that these votes are secure and counted.
I assure you, it will be secure. It is secure, and not only that, in addition to sending it in electronically, you will follow up actually with the paper ballot. You'll send that in. It's very important, but this is just a significant piece of legislation. The other thing, what I wanted to tell you is, I'm on the state government committee, and we actually had a soldier who had been stationed in Afghanistan who testified and really made us aware of the situation. He came in, he said what happened is he contacted his county clerk. The county clerk emails a ballot, okay, that he can fill out. He then had to get that ballot back by fax. So he had to email that ballot to a company who does that, who turns it into a ballot that can be faxed back to the county clerk. And this just isn't right. And the argument, Joe, is that this is why our soldiers are doing what they do, so that we can vote. That's what America, I mean, that's why we are what we are, and we're so good at what we do. But this is the very thing, freedom and what it's all about, and being able to vote for whoever you want.
Important to remember that they're regular men and women just like us, especially as National Guardsmen and women. They have jobs, they have careers. You are also, I noticed, working on some kind of legislation to help them with their licensing deadlines.
Yes, another very important piece of legislation also recently signed by the governor that basically says if you are a professional and you hold a license or you hold a registration, that now if you're deployed and your license or registration expires while you're away,
which could be bad news.
It would be terrible. It would be devastating, and we don't need to do this to these men and women who are making this great sacrifice for us. So their license will be extended, and when they come back, they will have 120 days from the moment they get back in order to go in and extend that license with no penalties or anything like that.
Short time left. Finish up with this thought. You mentioned how it was so important to hear from that one military serviceman. How important is it to listen to their needs? Because you may not capture those needs until you hear from them.
That's right. I always welcome that, particularly from General Reith, who's the Adjutant General. I often have him come in talking to our committee, but talking to the men and women, visiting particularly our Veterans of Foreign Wars posts, where they are getting new members every day, is so important.
It's always good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
It's also important to get your message out to all the good public, because in many ways representing all of us. He is the chair of the Military and Veterans Affairs in the State Assembly. Assemblyman Jack Connors of New Jersey's 7th Legislative District. I'm Joe Pasikia. This has been Comcast Newsmakers, seen exclusively here on Comcast. Thank you for watching.